this side here, and again, as I've mentioned, I can move this around. I tend to always start on my client's right brow. Don't know why. There's no preference to start on their right or their left. It's just the way that I was taught. It's the way that I tend to work. Feels nice and comfortable for me. So our first strokes are going to be those kind of two sisters. And I'm going to place my microblade right on that bottom line. And my first sister, oh, she says, with her microblade not done up properly. The first one is going to be placed and curved. And can you see I'm touching the bottom line, but I'm not touching the top. My next one is going to go right next to it and isn't touching the bottom, but it is just touching the top. Now the actual action that we use is a place, and if you look at my fingers here, it's a twist. So I'm not using my arm to pull or curve, and we're going to practice on some twisting motions. We're twisting. So it's this action that creates the curve. It is. I could actually do it with just these two fingers. It's a curve on the skin rather than a pull with the arm. So we've got our first two sisters. We're then going to have the same two sisters again. Okay, two sisters and two sisters. I'm then going to start thinking about my transition, which is the point where the brows start going from up to down. So this one's going to come along and over the top. And then my top line starts going along the line and down, along the line and down. If you look at my spacing, we've got good spacing along the line and down, along the line and down, along the line and down to the tail. Probably need a small one on there just to mark that tail. But can you see each one I've worked quite nice and smoothly, not ticking at the skin like this, and working nice and slow, and once I've started that movement I don't stop, so I don't half move, it's a smooth movement. So those are my top strokes. I'm now going to put in my bottom strokes, which again nice and smooth, twisting away, twisting away, and as you see this bottom line I'm also keeping nice and flat, so I've got nice room in the middle. If my blade gets too full of pigment, I can always wipe it off. I dip with each stroke, so that each time I'm making a stroke I'm delivering pigment into the skin. Dip and stroke. Okay, so that's my kind of first row, my first pass. I tend to actually go in and put a lot more in on my first pass when I'm working now, because I'm used to putting more in, but this is our skeleton. If I then wipe this away, we didn't have too much of a pencil line there underneath to guide me anyway. But you'll see there I don't need to worry about losing my outline because we already have it there. So what I'm going to do on my second visit here, what I'd normally then do is work on this side, but on my second visit I'm going to put some more strokes in where I have room to. If I was doing a combination style, I'd just shade this middle part. So that's what our demo is going to be, that we do on our last day together, is this skeleton of strokes, and then we're going to powder through the middle to give the strokes a little bit more definition. So I can see through the fronts here. I probably want to put a stroke in here, and I probably want to put a stroke in here. So that's what I'm going to do. And then these gaps here, I can sort of sprout. If I'm wanting to fill the middle in, I can use these gaps to sprout new hairs out of. Can you see what I'm doing there? Working in between my previous ones, working through the middle. So filling this middle section is something that a lot of beginners struggle with. And this sprouting technique, filling from the front back, is something that I find is an easier way to show you, is that you are just, can you see how they're layering, and they're each kind of, one is being born from the middle of the stroke before. So here and here we have a stroke. I'm going to pop one just through the middle there. Here and here we have a stroke, so I'm going to pop one just through the middle there. Here and here we have a stroke. I could probably just fit one through the middle there. And then one at the end. So we're now beginning to look hairy. Alright. So if this was actually on the skin, I'm very nearly finished now. We don't want the strokes too close together because we don't want them to merge. But there are some gaps that I probably want to revisit to perfect a little. I probably want to pull this stroke down just a little. So I'm just going to add a little bit to the front of there. I probably want to put a small stroke in there so that I haven't got a big gap along that top. I probably want to put a small one just in there too. But it's as easy as that. Okay?
You make it look easy.
You can stop filming that.